Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anantavyaktam Rupenam Yedam Akilam Tatam Chirachit Chakti Yuktayam Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who in his unlimited, unmanifested form has expanded the cosmic manifestation, the form of the totality of the universe. He possesses the external and internal energies and the mixed energy called marginal potency, which consists of all living entities. Purport. The Lord is endowed with unlimited potencies, Parasya Shakti Vivihaya Suyate, which are summarized as three, namely external, internal, and marginal. The external potency manifests as this material world. The internal potency manifests as the spiritual world. And the marginal potency manifests as the living entity, so a mixture of internal and external potency. The living entity, being part and parcel from the mind, is actually internal potency, but because it's being in contact with the material energy, he is an emanation of material and spiritual energy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is a type. He is engaged in spiritual pastimes. Material energy is only his external manifestation. And the Lord, in the Rendansyan, the Lord, you know, Savataya, that's when the Vikam Yena Press, my three little ladies, Yon Vishnu Bhavai, Vishnu Sam, Vishnu. Namaste Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste. Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pucharani. Yom Se Sasunivari Pastyapyari Satani Vansatata Pamani Swati Pasindu Garevi Saham. Pitaram Bhavani Jai Jai Maha. Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prayam Nityananda. Feel brave to give an honor to the last of Dr. Wendy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So the totality of all of the energies in their summarization of here, external, internal, and marginal. Within these three categories, there's subcategories of different energies also that are functional for both the external and internal potency. The marginal potency is the Jiva Soul. He's marginal because the Supreme Lord is unlimited. And because he is unlimited, he also has to have limited potencies. Limited potencies they're called the Vivinamsa, or the Jiva souls. So we make up the limited potency of the absolute truth, which is the internal energy. But that internal energy has a tendency to become covered by the external energy when it leaves the association of its source or is outside, just like a spark of fire coming out of a blazing fire. When it leaves the fire, it turns into a little cinder and falls and is no longer has glowing propensity. If you take that same piece of carbon and again place it into the fire, it will again burn brightly. Assuming the living jiva souls, with the limited potency of the absolute truth, they're called Vivanamsa. They've become under the what is called the external energy of the Lord, which is the Bahiranga Shakti, which creates the idea that the living entity is the same as that energy. And this is the illusion, we call it. The Maya, or the diluting potency of the Supreme Lord, creates this idea that the living entity is of the same nature as the external potency. And as soon as it comes under that influence, it becomes covered, and its glowing particle is no longer alive, although it remains in a dormant stage. And so, being in the material world, we are outside of our natural capacity for existence. Therefore, everyone struggles, everyone suffers, everyone undergoes tremendous amounts of difficulty, and everyone is forced to accept the idea of death, which is both foreign and not true to the living entity's existence. That which is never born is never died. So the jivas are eternal. Although we are small, minute, still we are eternal. But we identify with the temporary and or the external energy, and therefore we come under the illusion that we are of the same nature. And therefore we live in a false sense of existence. And in that false sense of existence, we make plans to become happy by arranging the material energy in so many different ways. That arrangement is based on the living entity's desire to enjoy, which is intrinsic to the living entity's existence. Because that enjoyment cannot be found in energy that is opposite of its own nature, therefore there is a hard struggle. It's like if you mix oil and water together, they will mix just for when you put them together, but that mixture is never complete, and at due course of time, because of their natural atomic structure, the mixture becomes separate again. The oil will separate from the water. So in the same way, we live in this false world of material existence because it has nothing to do with our real identity. Our real identity is spiritual. And we are meant to live in the spiritual world with the Supreme Lord. But due to this desire for supremacy of the living entity, because the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and the living entities also have that desire to enjoy. The Supreme Lord is Swarat, which means he's completely and fully independent. Because we are part of that same energy, we are also Swarat in a minute element of Swarat. We have independence, but that independence is to choose between the material and the spiritual. And therefore, very few of the total amount of living entities choose the external or the material energy to try to act out their desire for enjoyment. And because of that, the material world is created to facilitate the living entity's enjoyment, but at the same time to frustrate that enjoyment through the three modes of material energy. And so no one can really find any lasting or even temporary happiness may also be there, but it's just a relief from suffering. It's like if you are hungry, that is a form of suffering, and you eat when the hunger goes away. So what did you do? You counteracted the pain of hunger. Or you might use the example when you get sick, you're outside of your normal constitutional position as being healthy. You return to health, you're back to your norm. So the healthy state is the norm state, But the sixth state is what when we go away from Krishna and create our own desire to be separate from Krishna and try to enjoy separately from Krishna, the material world is immediately there to facilitate that desire. And so the whole idea is to Jeev Jago, Gola Chandra Bole Kota Nidra Jayo Maya Pisa Chita. Jeev Jago means wake up. Wake up from this illusion that you are this material body and that you could be happy in the material world. And find your real happiness where it actually exists. If you're in a desert and you're thirsty, you're looking for water, but there's no water in the desert. Due to the desire to have water, a mirage comes up. An imaginary lake appears in the desert. It has nothing to do with the desert, nor does it exist. But because of the strong desire for water, the imagination projects this desire into an illusion. Then we go for that mirage, and then we find it's only more hot burning sand. So in the same way, the living entities is chasing after this happiness in this material world through various programs and desires to find peace and happiness. But it can never do that because it's just. So getting back to our constitutional position is actually the purpose of the material energy, because it's there for two purposes: to facilitate our desire to enjoy separately and to frustrate that desire at the same time, so we actually get back to our real constitutional position. Not our conditioned nature, but our constitutional nature. And that is to take up devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is the internal energy of the Lord manifested in the form of the science of the soul's relationship with the Supreme Soul, Krishna, or any of the eternal manifestations of Krishna's personal forms, such as Ram, Nrsimha, or Chaitanya, or any of the Leela incarnations of the Lord. There are also personal manifestations of the Lord that appear at a certain time. But our relationship ultimately is with the Supreme Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets, where we worship the Lord in the mood of awe and reverence, or in the realm of Goloka Vrindavan, where worship of the Lord takes on the mood of equality with or superiority to the Lord in that loving relationship. So these two realms of existence, which are way beyond this material world, one cannot measure any distance between the material world and the spiritual world. There is no measurement. They give some measurement of how big the material universes are, and it's ultimately trillions and trillions and trillions of miles that cannot be calculated simply by any kind of instrument that we have. But beyond that, beyond the coverings of all the material energy, there is the void between the material and the spiritual, which is an element of darkness. And beyond that element of darkness, there is an existence of eternal light, which is coming from the body of the Supreme Lord. It's not provided by any kind of artificial light, such as sun or moon or electricity or anything like that. That light is simply the body of the Supreme Lord, which lights up the entire spiritual world. And in that light, there is ecstasy of the happiness that one experiences in that realm of transcendental existence. For those who are actually intelligent and know their best interests in life, as it says, Tasyaiva hetu pratite nakovido, nalabhyate ta brahmatam uparyada, talabhyate tadlabhyate dukkanavam anyasukam, alena sarvatra gambira ramhasa. Those who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined do not desire, do not try for any position anywhere, going all the way up from the lowest planet in the material universes to the highest planet where Lord Brahma exists. And so what is their goal is the eternal realm of existence. And that can be facilitated easily through the process of pure devotional service, as given by the spiritual master, through the instructions he gives based on the words of Krishna coming through the revealed scriptures. Oh, it's a very wonderful process. If we waste time in this material world trying to adjust the material energy to make it work so we can find some temporary happiness, we'll lose the opportunity to gain eternal life. Once you gain eternal life, then you understand everything and you don't need anything else. So the idea is to again gain eternal life. And therefore it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam that by the rising and the setting of the sun, another day is lost and one is closer to death, except, and it goes on to use the word, except for those who use their time to hear about the all-good personality of Godhead. So hearing about the Supreme Lord, his pastimes, both in the material and spiritual realm, and engaging in practical activities of service to the Supreme Lord, under the guidance of the Lord's deputed representative, the bona fide spiritual master, who is qualified to bring the souls back to Krishna because of his pure devotion to Krishna. And that the process is very easy, very simple. What makes the process hard is that we're still looking towards the material energy for some kind of happiness, some kind of satisfaction, something. So if we look towards the spiritual for everything we need in life, then that spiritual will consume our consciousness, where we will see that Krishna is providing everything we need to live nicely in this world. And ultimately, tattva deham purna janmani, 19 mameti surjuna, one can go back to the spiritual world. And if we fail to make it in this life, then we have to come back in the next life and again leave off from where we begin, where we leave off from our efforts in this particular life. The danger of that is that one can again fall back into the material energy by accepting another life. So therefore one should finish up in this life and not waste time and try to think, well, you know, it's too hard in this life. Maybe if I get a better situation next life. No, there's no such thing as better situation. Because once you leave this body, karma daiva nitrena, you're under the influence of the material energy. You cannot dictate where you're going to go, or what body you're going to have, what capacity you're going to be able to use in the body you have for self-realization. All of that is given to you through the external energy by Krishna's arrangement. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada would say, whatever has blocked you from reaching perfection in this life will be there again to block you in the next life also. So better to do it now, not postpone it. A devotee who is serious about their own best interest will take up devotional service in a serious way. That means they understand that spiritual life is actually life. Material life is a shadow of life that looks like life, just like a shadow looks like the image of the person, but it's not the person, nor can it act like the person. So the material world may look similar to things in the spiritual world, but because the substance is different, it's a shadow of the reality and cannot give you. It's like if you look into a mirror and you're eating while you're looking into the mirror, you might see food in the mirror also. and you'll see somebody eating, of course, that's you. And you think, well, let me eat that food that's in the mirror. But that's just a reflection of the realities. There's no food there, nor is there any enjoyment in that reflection. So in our struggle to find happiness, we are more in tune with the reflection of the reality than the reality. Now, sometimes we think the reality is so far removed from our experience that it becomes so difficult. That's not really that difficult. What's difficult is our attachments to the material world. To uproot those, we simply have to take serious the process of devotional service. And that means the essence of devotional service is to chant the holy names of the Lord regularly on beats without fail, in a mood of calling out to Krishna to pick us up. Ainandatanucha kinkaram, patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho, vipaya tavapada pankaja, stita duri sadrisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servant. Somehow or other I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death. And then the petition, please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. And that prayer is the calling of the heart to the Lord for his shelter. Once we get the shelter of the Lord through the chanting of the holy name, associating with devotees who are engaged in devotional service, reading, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. These are the 4 books that are the main books for the Vaishnavas. Then everything becomes nice and easy, and as Bhagavad Gita says, Susukam Kartam Avyayam, that this process is simply joyful. What makes the joyfulness is just like if somebody gives you some sweet rice, which is very nice, rice nicely cooked in milk with various types of sweeteners. There may also be some raisins in there, very nice. You think, well, I think I'll add some sand to the sweet rice. You throw some sand in there, and then you try to enjoy it, and then you realize there's no enjoyment there. It's rather than the sweet ambrosial taste of the sweet rice, you get this crunchy, gritty taste that comes with the sand, and it overshadows the happiness you can get from that the sweet rice. So in the same way, we're mixing this material energy into our life, and we're thinking, well, a little mixture here and there is all right. It's not, because you're just adding sweet sand to the sweet rice. So how do we get over that? And by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and associating with and serving Vaishnavas. Process is nectar. Our Chaitanya is Namo Maha Vandanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya. Namani Goda Tristena Maha. He is so merciful that anyone and everyone, no matter what your background is, what your culture is, what is your capacity, what is your intelligence, nothing material is the consideration for practicing Krishna consciousness or receiving the full mercy of the Lord. As it says in the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam, Kirata Hunam Palinda Pukasa Ambira Samba Hasyadaya Yane Chapapa Upasrayasraya Sudanti Prabhavishnave Namaha. Beautiful verse. It lists all of these races: Kirata, Hunam, Palinda, Pukasa, Ambira, Samba, Kasyada. These are races that are considered subhuman, even below the Varnashram system, way below. Even if they take to devotional service, they can also reach perfection. So that's Mahaprabhu's mercy. He doesn't exclude anyone. We have the story of Jagai and Madai, who are so sinful that even Yamaraj could not count all of their sins. And he was beyond himself in madness, trying to keep up with the sinful records of Jaga and Mara. But everything was turned around by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who gave them a chance to rectify themselves, and somehow or other, although at first they didn't, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they changed and became actually devotees of the Lord. When Yamaraj realized what had happened, he was dancing in ecstasy. When Narada Muni realized what happened, he was dancing in ecstasy and he lost his veena. He couldn't even find his veena. So Lord Shiva was so happy that he was dancing naked and he didn't even realize it. So the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unfathomable, cannot be calculated. Srila Prabhupada would pose a question. He said, if you have great intelligence, great abilities, learning, capacity, you're able to accomplish so many things, then apply your abilities to try to understand Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And you will never be able to do that. It's not possible. It's inconceivable. And that mercy is still today, as the Jagais and Madhais in the modern day society are now somehow or other coming to the process of pure devotional service and becoming Vaishnavas, those who serve the Lord and are kind and compassionate to all other living entities. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So if we take it up seriously, and seriously means whatever when you're doing something in life, you should be serious about what you're doing. You're going to school to get a diploma. If you're making plans to go somewhere on a long journey, whatever you're doing, if you're trying to write your dissertation, whatever you're doing, you should be doing it fully with complete attention and absorption. In the same way, that is what a spiritual life is like. It requires that type of commitment in order to get the mercy. Because otherwise, the material energy will still dance its shadow dance in front of our minds and life, and try to attract us away from this this great fortune that is there at our fingertips. But material energy stays behind the Lord. She, in one sense, is a little embarrassed about her service to delude the living entities away from the Lord. So she cannot go in front of the Lord. She stays behind the Lord. Therefore, if you keep the Lord in front, you won't be influenced by the material energy. So keeping Krishna foremost means to keep Maya in the backside or away. And if we don't keep Krishna foremost, then that means not just whenever we want to, but always, then Maya will perform her dance of attraction. And she is very expert at luring the conditioned souls to accept her activities as being sources of happiness. But if we stay close to the holy name, chant and associate with devotees, and read the books, and offer our food in sacrifice to the Lord, and use our time to serve the Lord, and then it's guaranteed that we will make it back to the spiritual world. The time of death, because if we have used our life for absorption in the Lord, then it'll become easy to remember Krishna at the time of death. Otherwise, if we don't use our life, then when it comes to the time of death, it becomes very difficult to remember Krishna. We will remember those things in our life that were more important than Krishna. And then it'll force us to take another birth. And so the time of death is the final exam of the activities that we have performed in our life. And Therefore, we should prepare to go back home, back to Godhead. And that's what makes Krishna happy. Krishna is always, he's Atmarama, he's self-contained, he needs nothing outside of himself. And he is Satchidananda. He's full of knowledge and bliss, always. But as a kind, loving father, because he is Ahambija Tadampita, he created all living entities. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it says he's the father of all living entities, and therefore a father has natural love for his children. And therefore, because of his natural love, he feels unhappy that we have to suffer in this material world. So if we want to make Krishna happy, we will go back to him in devotion in the spiritual world and stop wasting time trying to pick through the garbage of this material world. Like a chicken who runs to a dustbin looking for some small kernels of corn so they can find something to eat. And so this material world is like a garbage dump. Prabhupada was in Mexico City one time. They were walking along, and there was a big, gigantic garbage container, and it was written in Spanish on the outside. So Prabhupada asked the devotees who were with him, who were Spanish devotees, he said, "What does that say?" It says here, it said, "Put your trash here." Prabhupada said, "Yes, you should put the whole material world right there." And he made the point that for one who is in knowledge, this material world is just like a garbage dump. Of course, in the trash dump, once in a while you'll find something good, but still, most of it is all trash. And that good thing only creates the illusion that there's more good things, which causes you to rummage through the garbage even more. So we can stop rummaging in the garbage by taking the process of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very seriously, chant the holy names of the Lord, and offer our food, associate with devotees, go to the temple, see the deities, offer some service if you can, and read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, go on pilgrimages to holy places. It's like now we are 2 months away from the Gaur Purnima festival, where thousands of devotees from all around the world will descend upon Mayapur to celebrate the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Prabhupada, in his statements about Gaur Purnima festival, he said every devotee in our movement should come to the Gaur Purnima festival each year for at least 8 days, take part in this wonderful festival. Mayapur Dham is the spiritual world. It's not part of the material world. Prabhupada even said some interesting things about Mayapur Dham. He said the sun in Mayapur is not the same sun you see outside of Mayapur. It's a different sun. It's a transcendental sun that appears in Mayapur. It looks like the regular sun, but because it's the Dham, it's giving us the spiritual sun. These are many other things that Prabhupada said about the Dham. The Dham is not part of the material world, and we can actually experience great happiness and transcendental knowledge by living in the Dham or taking part of the activities of the Dham. And this is one of the processes of bhakti. It's called serving the lotus feet. That means going to holy places of pilgrimage and associating with saintly persons and taking sufficient time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord in the association of others. So this is our process. It's a whole life in itself. It's not marginal. Sometimes we think, life is what we do in the material world. The spiritual life is there, yeah, it's just, part of life, but it's not, it's actually life. The material world is a shadow of the actual reality of existence. And as it says in this verse, this external potency manifests as this material world, and in order to facilitate the desire of the living entity to enjoy separately from the Lord. There's no other purpose from this material world is to give that chance for the living entity to try to fulfill this awkward desire, unnatural desire. And because it cannot fulfill it, therefore one suffers some struggles and ultimately has to leave the world and again take birth again in another species of life in Maya Rabase, Kacho Base, Kacho Ha Bubu Dubai. And life after life we transverse. Karananguna Sango So Sarasa Joni Jamasu. From the highest planet to the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. And Krishna says, one who attains to Mayabhu does not again enter into this realm of the realm of suffering, referring to this material world. So this is the purpose of life, is to get out of this place and go back to Krishna in the spiritual world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. And thank you so much for the beautiful stories all the time. Thank you for always reminding us that this is a shadow life. This is not a real life, but we know and we constantly forget. Thank you so much for reminding that we are still getting his, Mahaprabhu's constant mercies with us. But this is a new thing I learned today, that Prabhupada said that the sun at Mayapur is the spiritual sun. So that's fantastic. Maybe we should go there.
He said, it's not the same sun you see outside of Mayapur. That's how he phrased it. It has its own sun. I'm here in Mayapur right now, and when I see the sunrise every morning, it's like, wow. It's beautiful, bright, orange ball. It just sits in the sky as it's rising above the horizon. So, it's a darshan in of itself, just looking at the sun as it comes up over the horizon.
Very nice. That's very nice. It's probably our mindset that makes us look at it that way. So nice. Thank you so much for sharing all the stories, Maharaj. Devotees, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself, ask the question, or please raise your hand and go ahead. I do see Mayank Gupta Prabhuji. You may go ahead and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, then pranams. Maharaj, in the class you said that Maya has two purposes: to facilitate the jiva to go back to Godhead, and another purpose
Is to keep the living entity here attracted to the illusion. She tries to keep you, she tries to keep you attracted to the illusion, but at the same time, she's kicking you. And that kicking is the waking up process that this illusion that you're being attracted to is not really the purpose of life. The purpose is to get out of the kicking process and go back to the loving process in the spiritual world. So the material world facilitates the living entity's desire to enjoy here, but at the same time, it frustrates that same desire. So the living entity doesn't try to stay here.
Maharaj, then why Maya sometimes takes sincere devotees also? Because they also get agitated sometimes.
So even I didn't hear the question. Why does Maya what?
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, why does then Maya sometimes agitate sincere devotees of also? Because sometimes they also get agitated.
Well, unless you're a pure devotee, you can also again be attracted by mind. Pure devotees never get attracted by mind. So sincere devotee is one who's coming to the process of purification. They're absorbed in the process. Usually they're protected by Krishna. Very rarely do they get do they fall down. But sometimes it does happen due to a little inattention in their execution of devotional service. You have the example of Ajamil. Ajamil was a great soul. He had performed devotional activities his whole life. But somehow, by walking along the street, as it's explained in the sixth canto of Bhagavatam, he saw a Sudra and a Sudrani in a very compromising position. His mind somehow or other got attracted to that. And then that changed his whole conception of life. And then that Sudrani became his focus and chased after her. She was a prostitute and he married her. So that little deviation in his, obviously he wasn't a pure devotee because pure devotees don't fall down. But he was still fixed in devotional service. He wasn't on the highest platform of devotion. So one can fall down. One can fall down if they haven't reached pure devotional service. But if we keep pure desire, that is, follow very strictly the instructions of the spiritual master, and understand the difference between what is material and what is spiritual, act in that way, we will be protected by Krishna and safe from any type of fall down. Your sincerity will keep you afloat. But you have to reach purity. Otherwise, if you're not pure, ultimately you can't go back to Godhead. Purity is not so hard. It just has to be, it's something that comes by continuation. Just like if you plant a seed in the ground, you don't have the plant simply by planting the seed. The watering process has to be there, cultivating of the ground around it and preventing the weeds from growing up, and also fencing off the plant so it's not destroyed from external environment. So in the same way, when we plant the seed of bhakti given to us by the spiritual master, then we have to carefully execute it. And the watering process is hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. And those things we have to avoid. Swami describes them in Nectar of Instructions. And the thing that will easily destroy our bhakti is intimate association with non-devotees. Because the whole value system is different. Their goal in life is opposite to devotees. If we take that kind of intimate association, then we become polluted by that, and then our value system will change. And we'll start to think that the material world is okay. So stay in association with devotees, and you're generally protected from all of these attacks of Maya.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your good question. And thank you, Maharaj, for your wonderful answer. Thank you so much. Devotees, if you have any question, go ahead, please. So, Maharaj, I have a question, if I may. So, this is out of a personal question. So, when we chant, I've noticed if I chant very clearly, things are falling into its place. But sometimes when the chanting is not that good, some external turbulences come and immediately the mind gets agitated. So Maya comes into, probably tries to test you more when you are like very, very serious.
Yeah, she's testing you. She tests
Yeah.
you all the way up until you become a pure devotee.
Right.
And then she offers her obeisances at that point.
Mm.
Because that's her job. To
Yes.
see where you're weak and to test you there so you become aware of where you're weak. And then you strengthen that particular area of your devotional practice. Maya knows your weaknesses and she'll go for that.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. So I have Radha Jyoti Mata ji. She is saying that she is apologizing. She was not able to attend your class, and she's requesting if you would be kind enough to give her some punishment.
Okay, the punishment is distribute um, 10 Bhagavad Gitas this month, in the month of January.
There you go, Jyoti Mata ji. Wonderful punishment.
Yes, I'll do it, Maharaj ji. Maharaj ji, my question to you is, material world is so subtle. So Maya is very subtler than the material world. And we are jivas, we are hanging around somewhere trying to do bhakti. Then how will cross the ocean of this material world? Sometimes it's easy when the devotees are around or some mercy is coming, but when crisis comes, testing starts, it seems very difficult. So could you please teach on this?
Take shelter of the holy name, take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. These are objects that give our consciousness shelter. Yeah. The holy name and Bhagavatam are always available. And they give the mind a shelter. Just when you feel like that, just pick up the Bhagavatam and read. Or sit down and start chanting.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hemi Mata ji, you have a question, Mata?
You have to create your own environment sometimes when the environment is not there. And that means you direct your consciousness towards something spiritual. The mind is always trying to find something in this material world that'll give us some satisfaction. And we have to learn how to ignore that restless mind and direct it towards the spiritual activity. That's all.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hemi Mata ji, would you like to go ahead with your
Yeah.
question, Mata?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Danvat Pranam. Danvat Pranam, Maharaj. Beautiful class. I just have this question that oftentimes I notice that when I am, say reading something which is more mundane or say watching my phone, my absorption is like so very deep. And then I'm comparing that to when I'm trying to chant, it's not the same, like the distraction or all those thoughts coming in the mind. So why the two absorptions are different? Is it my conditioning or is it the Maya? Why is these two things different?
Well, you're saying when you read mundane things, you get absorbed? Is that what you must say?
Yes, often if I'm watching some kind of phone or even reading something which is uh, may not really be spiritual, the absorption is very deep, and then when you sit down to chant, that that depth is not there. So it exists. I mean, obviously, I can be very absorbed in a certain activity and not as much in my chanting, even though I have a desire to chant. So why is it different?
Well, first of all, if you take shelter of mundane, a mundane material, literature, or any topic that's mundane, you're weakening your ability to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Your mind is again becoming in the mood of fruitive activities, which is the mode of passion. And so when you chant, it's going to be more difficult. So if you now, the tendency is because of our conditioning, we may like these things, and Maya presents them in a way that is interesting, fascinating. The whole material world is designed to attract the conditioned soul to do something that will facilitate some kind of enjoyment, either visual, audio, through sound, through sight, through touch. And so the expert materialists design various types of programs to attract others for some profit. This is the material world. It's called the world of names. The world of names. What are material subjects? Names only. There's no meaning to these names. It's just names that they give. That's it. The world of names. So if you like adventure, read the Mahabharata. If you like love stories, read the Mahabharata. If you like fighting, read Ramayana. If you like, interesting philosophy, read Srimad Bhagavatam. So these transcendental literatures also have elements of these things that attract us in this material world also. But these same topics are not of the same characteristic, although the forms are the same. The results are different. The mind becomes more agitated, more harder to control when we delve in material topics. And when we delve in spiritual topics, our mind becomes more satisfied and more peaceful. But because we're not practiced for spiritual life, the initial contact with material spiritual activities seems to become less absorbing or a little bit more difficult. That's just due to our condition. Just stay with it. That's all. It'll pass, and you'll start you'll find happiness, and you'll look forward to spiritual activities.
Very nice, Maharaj. How wonderful answer. Yeah, it will pass. There you go, Himi Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Now to go, Hemi. Nice to hear you. Thank you. I hope.
Thank you.
How's mother doing?
Maharaj, I am not sure if you're mixing me with somebody else.
I think so. I know another homie named that's
Amen.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Whatever invokes your blessings, Maharaj, for all the devotees, even if it's out of confusion. Himi Mataji, we will all take it. Ragini Mataji, you have a question, Mata, for Maharaj?
Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Actually, I have no idea about these classes. I just simply joined in and I just got to know that Maharaj is here in the class and kind of just got finished. But I kind of figured out you gave a class on Maya. So I have a question. So like I'm a college going student, but I'm facing many obstacles on the path of bhakti. There's so many things I cannot do. Neither am I able to associate with devotees or go to the temple. And I have to eat the food that's cooked by my family members who are non-devotees and eat it. So what do I think about the situation? Can I think it like, oh, it's a phase, it will go away? Or what can I consider this as? Is it my prarabdha, or is it some way of Krishna's mercy or something? How do I consider the situation and keep myself strong on this path?
Well, these are all practical things. If you're going in the opposite direction, you have to change direction. That's all. When it comes to food, don't accept food cooked by people who are not devotees, because that pollutes the mind, even if they're family members. So cook your own food. That's it. That would be a good start. If you start cooking your own food, and then you find everything else will start to become easier. That's not a small thing, because consciousness goes into the food. As far as getting association, well, it may be time consuming about the lifestyle you chose. You just have to take some time aside from that and go for some association. When you're in the midst of all of your responsibilities, take a break every once in a while and go to the temple if you can. If you can't, call up a devotee and start speaking to the devotees, spend some time. We got this regular class here. This is not just a Thursday class, it's an everyday class. Come on to class every day. This class is so popular, it's been on for now 15 years. This is the 15th year. This class has been going on steadily every day. So yeah, you have a choice. You can go for the material, or you can go for the spiritual. Both are available.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. But like regarding the food, yes, I even heard in classes that yeah, consciousness is what gets mixed in the food, and but the thing is that if I kind of start cooking and all of that, then it creates like a ruckus at home, and that's why I don't want to get things complicated. So what can I do in this phase, like
And
during this time?
really just make sandwiches. The point is, Krishna consciousness, you can't compromise the principles of Krishna consciousness just because the material situation is not conducive. You have to make the material situation conducive to the practice of Krishna consciousness. You say you're going to cause a ruckus, well, then your mind will be a ruckus because you're eating that food. It's just the way it is. You can't say, I don't want to get sick, but I'll go outside in the freezing cold without any proper clothes on. But I don't want to get sick. Hey, you're just putting yourself in a situation to get sick. Same way. If you accept all of these material things, then your consciousness, spiritual consciousness, is going to be stunted. It's going to be stymied. It's going to be somewhat buried. Krishna consciousness is practical. It's not something in the mind. It's practical. It becomes in the mind when you practice properly. So take sufficient time out to chant, and chant as much as you can. That will help you a lot.
Yes, thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, following on Ragini Mataji's question, I mean, here the kids have to go, for example, to college, they have to live in dorm, and really cooking food might not be an option for them. Is it possible, Maharaj, that they offer whatever is cooked by others, they offer it to Krishna in their heart or chant and then consume the food? Is that possibility, or that's a compromise big time?
You can't offer food cooked by non-devotees to Krishna. He won't accept it.
Oh, there you go, Ragini Mataji. Sorry.
I mean, I have one disciple. She's a mother, and her daughter wants to eat meat and all that, so she was cooking for it. She wasn't eating, but she was cooking for her daughter. And she was getting disturbed because of it. And I just told her, hey, forget about it. Stop cooking for your daughter and let your daughter worry about her own food. And she did. And after some time, the daughter actually started to give up eating the wrong food. It maybe was beneficial for both people. But just say, hey, I'm not going to eat that stuff. I'm going to eat only things cooked by someone who's practicing spiritual life. Food is very, you get dreams based on the food you eat. Sometimes those dreams are horrible, especially if they're grains. Grains are a medium for consciousness more than anything. Prabhupada writes it in the Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, do not eat food cooked by non-devotees, especially grains. It's a principle. It's not a detail. It is a principle. I fly on planes. I never eat any of the food on the plane. Once in a while, I'll ask for some fruit, or maybe a glass of juice. But I never eat any cooked foods. I've been traveling for the last 40 years. I don't eat outside at all. And sometimes I have to bring my own food or have somebody prepare it and carry it. But you're just making your spiritual life very difficult. You take food by non-devotees.
Right. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you. Scarlett Mataji, you had a question for His Holiness?
Yes, please. Hare Krishna, and thank you very, very much for today. We are talking about the material life and the spiritual life, and Maya who controls the material life and so on. May I ask how much do Maya get to control? How is that? Is there any limit that Maya shouldn't go beyond that limit, or she could do how long ever to control us?
Prabhupada would say Maya is as strong as you are weak. The stronger you are spiritually, the weaker Maya is upon you. If you're weak spiritually, Maya is strong. And you'll see when people do the most hellish things in the material world, they create pure hell. And these are all the dance of the illusionary nature. You see the different deities you have. Durga, riding on a tiger, and it's a trident. Using tridents with it. There's three modes of material energy, and she's stabbing the living entity with these three modes. It means a different suffering. Then you have Durga, who comes all the way as Bhadrakali. Bhadrakali has 16 arms. And she has weapons in each one of those arms. And she's smashing and destroying the living entity. Those who are very sinful are getting such severe reactions. It's mentioned in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavatam. They don't see the light of day for thousands of births. Krishna says, I cast them into demoniac species, life after life after life. So you can stay in hell for practically forever if you want. Or you can get out of it. So When there's not a trace of light anywhere, then everything is completely dark. And that's the extent of Maya. She can go to complete darkness. There's not a glimmer of light anywhere. Or you can have darkness with some twinkle of light in the distance. And it's still darkness, but it's not complete. So Maya can cover the living entity so deep that the living entity can't understand anything about who they are or what is the purpose of life.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, before we take any further questions, I wanted to ask you how you feel, because you've been given this class and it's more than an hour. Is it okay to take more questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Sri Devi Matat, yes.
This is what I look forward to discussing.
Wonderful.
With the conscious philosophy.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for a wonderful, wonderful class, Guru Maharaj. I want to piggyback back on those questions about accepting food from people who are not practicing Krishna consciousness. So what if they claim they're also spiritual, they're also following a spiritual path? It's just not Krishna consciousness, but that doesn't mean we are not spiritual. So why don't you accept food from us? So then it's almost like we are claiming Krishna consciousness is the supermost or the best, and what you're practicing is inferior, so I won't accept your food, and they might get offended. So how to maintain our strictness without offending them?
Well, you can use a little finesse in that case and find reasons not to accept it. But you don't try to give them a philosophical instructions based on different levels of spirituality. It's not going to go anywhere.
I only visit them on Ekadashis, Guru Maharaj, and say I cannot eat anything except fruit.
So then, yeah, just say today is Ekadashi and I don't eat grains on this today. Use a little finesse in dealing with people, and so you don't offend people, but at the same time, don't compromise your values.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Devotees, any last minute questions? Yes, Manjari Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Wonderful lecture, Maharaj, as always, and wonderful discussions. One of the questions that I have just prompted from the discussions of food. So what about, I've heard the consciousness goes into the food by the medium of Agni or the flame, right? So what about these other foods that are like, like chips or ready-made food that doesn't have onion, garlic, or eggs or anything? So in those instances, are we allowed to eat those foods, or we should avoid those foods as well? Like even sandwiches when there's no eggs or something. Is that all allowed or not allowed?
Yeah, just take prasad and make it easy. Why get into all this complicated stuff? Certain foods are pre-prepared and then therefore they're pre-cooked and then preserved for later. So that means in one sense they're also cooked. Prabhupada didn't get into all these big deals. Prasadam is so nice, We have such a variety of prasadam. You can't beat prasadam in taste and in satisfaction. you'll see devotees, they always look forward to taking prasadam. You see karmis many times, they just eat because they have to, so they can run and do their job in the office. They don't even enjoy their food, they just do it sometimes. Yes, devotees always find great happiness in eating prasadam. Ek dina shanti pore Sarira Vidyajam Jyotendriya Kahekam Jive Pirangi Saya Sagare Dharmadhyai Jivayati Logomaya Satormati Tage Jeta Kotina Samsare Krishna Dayamai Karivar Jiva Joy Shwaprasad Dilo Vai Sayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Remira Chaitanya Nitai Jaini Mai, Jaini Tai. Ekdina Dipode, that's part 2 of the same Prasadam song. At the house of Advaita Charya, there's great festival. And the devotees are relishing Bhagavat Prasad.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prasadam is great. You can have fun. Get yourself some cookbooks and just go for it.
So I guess,
yeah, there's so many nice preparations you can cook. Our Maharaj Srila Prabhupada's dearest devotee, Jamuna, she wrote this cookbook called, what is it called? What was it called? Krishna
higher,
Cuisine?
higher taste.
What was it? Krishna Cuisine? Or something like that.
Krishna cuisine.
Krishna cuisine.
Yeah, and she actually won an award in the cookbook competition for her presentation. And if you could do half the recipes in your lifetime in that book, then you would be doing a lot. The book's so big, it's like thousands of recipes.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany Mataji. She wrote the right answer. Lord Krishna's cuisine. Yes, that's exactly the name. Shukakara Prabhuji, you had a question for His Holiness? Shukakara Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Chakravarti Swami Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Dina Mataji. Maharaj, this Dhruva Loka, is it coming in the spiritual world or material world? Is it it is equal to Vaikuntha or it is?
No, it's a spiritual planet in the material world. It's
So is it Yad Gatvana Nivattante Taddhama Paramama? There also people who go to Dhruva Loka also will not come back, or that is again fallable place where it.
Juvaloka, there's on Juvaloka, there's an island called Svetadweep where the Lord Kshirodaksha Vishnu resides.
Ah.
The Lord resides in Juvaloka, in the island of Svetadweep, which is part of Juvaloka. It's the highest planet in the material world. It's not a destination planet that I know. One can attain Juvaloka also, but I guess that would be considered to be a stage where in the next life one would go back to the spiritual world from there. It doesn't talk so much about Juvaloka as being the place where one attains by the practice of devotional service. When the Lord wants to come to the material world through a different incarnation, He comes through the feature of Kshirodaksha Vishnu. Kshirodaksha is the gateway for the incarnations to appear in the material world.
Maharaj, if somebody has removed all his, the Kam, Krodh, Mola, Madamas, everything is removed. When he's going back home, back to bed, Godhead, is it that he has to go one life in a Bhauma Vrindavan where Krishna is, now incarnated somewhere where he has to live with Krishna and understand, and then only will be taken back to Godhead?
Well, it's generally the case. It takes you 2 lives to get back to Godhead, generally. Even if you get very elevated in this life, you go to a planet where Krishna is performing his pastimes somewhere in the universe, in one of the material universe.
But then after it's guaranteed, the next life.
That's what it's mentioned.
Because if the free will is there, I'm just asking that whether from that also people may come back to the material world, or they will be always purified and they will never do anything.
Generally, after being in the material world, one gets out of the material world in the realm of higher relationships where they're with Krishna in the material world, assisting him, taking part in his pastimes. And it doesn't mean you can't fall back down, but it's unlikely you would. But if you go to Swargaloka, the heavenly planets, then when your pious credits are finished, then Shinya Punya Martya
come back.
Vishanti. And then just like you're driving in your car and you run out of gas, everything stops. And so same way, when your pious activities run out, you fall back to the material world. To start again from where you were before. Sometimes it says you even fall farther down when you fall back from the heavenly planets. You go lower than what you were before you achieved the heavenly planets.
And Maharaj, when we all have come from spiritual world to the material world, means first time Krishna sends us to the Brahma Loka, and from there, by doing more and more sinful activities, they come down and down, and then come to the animal planet. This also I wanted your clarification, Maharaj.
I didn't catch that question.
No, when see why we have come down to the material world, because misuse of free will, and we were envious of Krishna, and we have fell down. But first time Krishna doesn't send you as an animal. He will send you to the Brahma Loka, which is the highest planet in the material world. But after coming here, the 3 modes and all this will keep down and down and down. Then we come down to the Patal Loka, up and down. So that means all of us were in spiritual world, and because of misuse of free will, we have come down. But now once we go back, we will not come back. At the Gatvana Livatante Tadhama Paramamma. Is it true, my understanding? Just wanted to reconfirm with you, Maharaj.
Reconfirm whether you will come back or not.
Yeah.
Well, you still have your choice, but it's like you stick your hand in the fire and then you get burnt, and then your hand gets cured, and now your hands are well again, and then you see the fire. You're not going to stick in the fire again. So, yeah, it's common sense that once you return to the spiritual world, you won't want to go back here. You understand what it means to come back here means to suffer, to be separate from Krishna. The real suffering is separation from Krishna. That's the suffering that we undergo in terms of the 3 modes are not as severe as that suffering from separation from Krishna. Because when we're separated from Krishna, we're really separated from ourselves.
So why we are not able to remember that separation? It is there theoretically, but physically not really feeling the separation.
I missed the first part of your question.
No, I'm telling that the real suffering is missing from Krishna. But this, as we are in Krishna consciousness, I know that it is there, we have missed him, but it is not gone to the heart. Still not really missing. Because if I was really missing, I would have been always weeping and Krishna Prem, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. That is not there. So when we will remember that, oh, we have missed out, we should not be here. That feeling to come, what has to be done?
Get out of Maya. The feeling is there, but it's covered. That covering is the illusionary energy.
Hmm.
So Maharaj, that memory that Srivakar Prabhuji is asking, that memory, to invoke that the very first memory, Maharaj, the only way is to chant, chant, and chant. How do we know? How do we invoke that memory?
That memory of being with Krishna?
Yes, like the original, like that's where I come from, that's where I belong. So the longing is not there because the memory is not there.
Well, that memory you can't artificially create.
Exactly.
All you can do, the best you can do, is feeling the separation from Krishna. That separation, why causes you to want to be back with Krishna. That separation, it causes the devotee to become spiritually unhappy. He's happy because it's Krishna, but he's unhappy because this is the mood of vipralambha, separation from Krishna. And it also comes at a certain stage of chanting, that when tears come to the eyes, realizing that, boy, I left Krishna, now I'm here in this material world, and what a fool I am, I'm suffering.
Thank you, Maharaj. So basically, we
Maharaj,
have to invoke the love. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, when we miss our wife or daughter or husband and all, we have seen, we have lived with them, we remember. But with Krishna, it is there, but it is not there. It's not able to come. That feeling, this daughter is lost. Oh, she's lost, we'll cry. But Krishna, we are lost and come here. Still, we are just happily living and not getting that feeling that we are out of Krishna and we have left him like that. That crying is not coming.
Simply there because you're in Maya. That's
So please bless us, Maharaj, to come as you are like that. Please help us also to become, that the missing feeling should come always 24/7 and never do anything wrong. Be the good child. Please give the blessing, Maharaj. Please. The new year you have to give something, Maharaj. I'm begging you, Maharaj.
There you go.
Well, this program that we're doing is there's no blessings we're giving you except philosophy.
But do some prayers for me, Maharaj, please.
Your class itself is a blessings, Maharaj, for us.
Yes. How true. Devotees, switch on your cameras quickly. Maharaj is blessing.
No.
Let Maharaj glance on you.
You don't want my blessings.
Maharaj, we want, please, we are crying, Maharaj, please, we want your blessings. Please, Maharaj.
My blessing is like what Prabhupada was in India, and I had just finished a lecture, and a very respectable couple, husband and wife, nicely dressed, very nicely spoken. And the man came with his wife, and he said to Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, give me your blessings. Prabhupada looked at him and said, you don't want my blessings. And then he again repeated, no, Swamiji, please give me your blessings. Prabhupada was a little bit more stronger. He said, no, you don't want my blessings. You don't want them. And so again, the man said, no. And Prabhupada said, all right, I bless you. Your material life is finished.
Jai.
And then the man just drifted back into the crowd. So, Haribol, there's your blessing. You don't have to take it, but
so you can bless us like that. Your material life is finished.
Yes.
We are ready to take it, Maharaj, please.
For you, it's okay, but not the rest of them. They may not want that blessing.
Give us a shot, Maharaj. Give us a shot.
Maharaj.
Let's try.
All right. Be ready for what happens, don't blame me.
No.
No, we'll be happy. Why would we blame you?
Well, everything will go wrong in your material life from now on.
Oh
so
dear.
then you'll get the message. If you
But
realize
that will be the starting point to go back home, back to Godhead. No, all will go wrong, topsy-turvy or disappointment. But that will be the beginning to go back. You
well,
can bless all who are attending today in Bhakti Sangha. All will be miserable like that. You bless them.
it gets rid of the junk. That's all.
Right.
Jai, Jai.
Bless us so we can tolerate Maharaj.
Right.
If you really want a blessing, my prayer is that you all become absorbed in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Jai,
Thank you,
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Candramauli Maharaj ki Jai ho.
Jai
Jai ho.
ho.
This is all wanted. Thank you so
But-
much. 2024. All
Then
of
you
us will chant.
You have to bless me also.
Maharaj, we are your dog in your lotus feet, Maharaj. How we can bless you? You are our master. You are our
Well-
Malik.
Well, we keep a dog for a reason. He keeps away the bad elements.
Yes.
You don't need help, Maharaj.
I'm also a dog. Amaro Kukura. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I'm your dog.
Tumi to Thakur, Tumar Kukur. Maharaj, your proper disciples, you have got a special power to help us, Maharaj. That's all, nothing else. But just your mercy, your kripa, that's all, Maharaj. Please.
You're just changing the whole discussion now into this mundane talk about mercy. Let's get back to philosophy.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, Maharaj, if I've annoyed, made you annoyed, or sorry. That was not my intention, Maharaj.
Well, I forgive you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Quickly, few more questions. So Ragini Mataji is writing on the chat box. I have a question again. Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat says that Ved Vyas and other sages will one day in the future describe and glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela in the scriptures. So when will they exactly do that? In the next Chatur Yuga or in the near future? If yes, how?
Who, Vyasadeva?
Yes.
Yeah, Vyasadeva is Vrindavan Das Thakur.
Got it.
He did it. He knew it. Vyasadeva came as Vrindavan Das Thakur. And even Krishna Swami acknowledges that. Yeah, the Vrindavan Das Thakur is the Vyasadeva of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. What's happening?
Any last minute questions for His Holiness? I see Radha Jyoti Mataji. You have a quick question for
Yes,
Maharaj?
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Maharaj ji, my question to you is, first we are when we'll feel we are exhausted from the material world, then we'll start chanting and we do services, and then some realizations are coming in our life. So when is my understanding correct that when our heart will be full of realizations and we'll do the service with the servant mode, which is not at present, but when that mood will be there, then there will be an attachment to Krishna because there will be a reciprocation. When that reciprocation is, the intensity of the reciprocation is very high, then the separation will start. Is it so, Maharaji?
Yeah, but that's usually when we talk about that mood of feeling separation or the spontaneous attraction for Krishna. It's more of the higher stages of bhakti. Only
Can't see Maharaji.
Huh?
We can't see you. Something is.
Maharaj, there is something on the top of the camera, I believe. Is there a cloth or something?
You put a cross there. There's one of your participants who has a spider for his image there, and I always like to cover that image.
Spider.
You see it there. Look at, there's one spider there. Spiders represent the mode of ignorance. See it? Yeah, Vishwanath, that's him.
Yes, Maharaj.
Why would you use that as an image, spiders? Spiders are low creatures. They represent the ignorance, and they represent demons also. Demons like to play around with spiders. So I would like to see Vishwanath and not the spider.
Guru Maharaj, if I may humbly request you to tilt your screen a little bit because you're getting cut off.
Yeah. Now we can see the darshan of your face, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Good.
Now it's very nice.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
You keep talking about me, I'm going to leave soon.
Oh dear, no, don't go.
Because I want to talk about Krishna philosophy. So
Right.
that's what,
That's too bad.
You are a pure devotee of Krishna, so we will talk.
you see, we're just reducing my time online here when you speak like that.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna. And there was one last question from Ragini Mataji, if I'm not
My
mistaken.
answer. Maharaj ji, you gave my answer.
Okay, there you go. That was your chat question. There was another one by Radha Jyoti Devi Dasi. She also had her hand up.
Hare Krishna.
Ask
Is it
you about.
Mataji, Ragini Mataji's question we already took from the chat, right?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I have lowered the hands. Yes. Any further questions? Devotees, go ahead.
I
Haribol.
have a question.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead. Haribol.
Guru Maharaj, our New Year, Vaishnava's New Year, starts from God Purnima. But we also have this January 1st as the New Year according to the Western calendar. How do we make use of this? Should we take it as, okay, I have 3 months now to really prepare for the New Year, or we completely disregard January 1st and just carry on as usual?
Well, if you come to India, there's so many New Years. There's Vasant Panchami, which is the New Year's also. Depends what calendar you want to follow. Vasant Panchami is New Year's. January 1st is New Year's. Gaur Purnima for Vaishnava is New Year's. Other people have different times for New Year's. Diwali is New Year's. The Judeo-Christian calendar is the most popular in the world, so January 1st seems to be the one. But as Vaishnavas, we celebrate our New Year as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. But we go along with the Judeo-Christian calendar, we do sometimes. It's an opportunity for devotees to get together and have kirtan and celebrate. So we take the different holiday designations that are used in the material world to celebrate Krishna consciousness more. Like sometimes we celebrate Christmas too. Put a big Christmas tree in the temple, and we put pictures of Radha and Krishna and different little deities hanging on the tree. So we honor the popular ones sometime without getting into the actual rituals.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'd see no more questions on the chat, no raised hand. So can we close the call, Maharaj, here?
Okay, I guess we also lost our host too. She's gone. Huh?
Actually, she has work, so she needs to leave the call. She sent me a message. Sorry, Maharaj.
Okay. Well, it's been nice being with all of you. It's a very powerful verse that we did today. Read it over again and try to go deeper into what is being said. These verses are unlimitedly full of varied spiritual points that we can benefit from. We like to sit and read books and do different things and do crossword puzzles and other things that attacks our mind or challenge our mind. And put your mind to the scriptures. Let it be challenged by the philosophy you face and try to understand it deeper.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha
Kalpataruksha Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Pattanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki
Maharaj ki
jai.
Oh,
Jai
Gauranga,
Nityananda.
Nityananda, Gauranga, Gauranga,
Gauranga
Nityananda.
Nanda
Radhe
Nanda
Radhe
Gauranga.
Shyam, Krishna Prem Vrindavan
Hari
Dham.
Bol.